Hey, hope you're doing well. So how good is the SY200? Right? It's amazing. But I found the biggest conundrum for me is how to incorporate it into your pedal board and your rig. And it seems to be that some of you guys are having the same issues. I've had a few questions about setup. So I'm just going to show you how I've decided to set up on my monster board here. So you can see here, this is my array of pedals. I've got the SY200 up here at the back. Now these four pedals here, the delay, the phaser, the chorus and the compressor, they're all in the effects loop of the SY200 because it's cool to have effects on top of your synth sound. I've got another video where I'm combining the old SY1 with a bunch of effects. You can check that one out here if you want to. So I've got those guys in there and I'm using the Morningstar ML5 there to trigger which of these effects are being used on top of the synth sound. Now when I'm just jamming and having fun, I've just got one rig on my GT1000 core and 7 synth sounds in here on my MC8 that I trigger with this patch. But the way it's set up keeps it pretty limited, especially if you're only using one patch. I'll show you what I mean. So this is my rig on the GT1000 core. Now I have the SY200 in the first effects loop and you can see it's back here and it is always on because when I trigger the various synth patches, it turns the divider on the patch there and then that turns it off. So on the SY200, you can see that I've got the effects level at 100 and the direct level is all the way down. On the GT1000 core here, this divider set to single, when I press that, turns it to dual, and the mixer is just balanced in stereo. And so my dry signal comes through this way, passes through that side and goes out that way, but the other side is effect only. Now I've got the delay there, so that the delay on the guitar is only on the guitar, and then the other effects that are applied in the effects loop on the SY200, they go in here and everything gets blended back together. So, guitar, arpeggio. Now the effects that I've got on the SY200 are compression, chorus, and delay. So you can hear the delay there is only on the arpeggio. But if I turn my delay on here, that delay is only on my guitar and it's ping pong. If you put that delay back here, you can hear that now is delaying the arpeggio as well. So I like it over here and that way it's not interfering with the synth sound. Now doing it this way keeps things pretty limited. So it's cool and it's a lot of fun, but I've always got direct guitar coming through and the effect is blended in with it. But what if I only wanted synth sound? I'm pretty limited, like I said, with this style of patch, which is kind of my point here. If you're going digital, if you have a GT1000 or a GT1000 core or a head rush or anything like that, your effects block, your effects loop, I should say, can be moved anywhere. So you can put this pre-amp, you can put this post-amp, you can put it wherever you want it. So that way you can create your own very specific patches and then you can blend your amount of dry signal on the SY200 back in with the effect and have it set exactly how you want it. So if you only want effect, post-amp, then you turn the direct signal down. Let's just do that. Now if I change to my dirty channel, with the effects loop in this position, it doesn't affect it too much. And I can blend back my dry signal now, so let's bring it up to about 50%. Pretty cool, right? So there I've got my direct signal going through the SY200, but it's being placed post my amp. So that way the effect is not being pushed into the amp and getting distorted as well. However, if that's what you're going for and that's what you want, bring it back to the front. Change your patch, save that to a completely different section. So there, of course, is a lot more noise on that arpeggio. That delay's not really going through there. So let's turn the direct signal down. So that is only the arpeggio. Now, if you're using a standard rig where you've got an amplifier and you've only got one effects loop, you're probably going to be a little bit more limited with the amount of things that you can do with it, but you could probably put, if you've got a setup where, for example, you've got a switcher, then you'll be able to do a very similar thing to what I'm showing you here. You can put your distortions and all those sorts of things pre your amp, and you can pop the SY200 in with your wet effects, and that way it's not going to get pushed by your amp. Now, if you're using the GT1000, you don't really need to use the effects loop on the SY200 to incorporate effects into there, because you can use the ones in the GT1000 and you do this sort of split example that I've been talking about and pop the effects in the back there. So I'll turn them all off. Cool, so I've got a little bit of plate reverb there. So now if I grab, let's just get this delay, for example, pop that there, turn that on. Now that delay is only going onto the synth sound. So if I bring in the other delay, which is on the other side of that split, that way I've got delay now on my guitar, and that's pinpointing left and right, and I've got that delay on the synth sound straight down the middle. It's pretty cool. You can also chuck an EQ in there if you need to. You can EQ your synth sound a little bit further. Let's chuck that chorus in here, and let's go back to single now and only listen to that. That's pretty cool. I like that, that's a mad sound. Even if you wanted to, you could bring one of these distortions over. Try it afterwards. Ooh. Just an example. So again, let's try that with the divider on. Metal zone in. Look, it didn't sound great, but you get the point. So if you're like me and you use separate reverbs than what you've got in the GT1000 core, you could potentially pop a reverb on here as well. Let's find, for example, Terra Echo. I love the Terra Echo. Do you use the Terra Echo? You should. If you don't, it's amazing. Single, so here is this. So that's pretty cool effect there for the pad. Let's bring this back in now and just hear how that sounds. That's pretty awesome. So there are just a couple of examples of how you can use your SY200 with a digital effects pedal. If you have a standard amp setup and you've got a switcher, obviously, like I said, you can do similar versions of this kind of thing. You just have to be smart with your effects and your placement there. If you're using a digital pedal, you don't have to be stuck with one setup. You can, if you use the effects loop on the back, you can put that anywhere and save as many patches as you want and get as many different sounds as you need. Awesome. So just a quick overview today. Hope that's given you something to think about. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. See you next time.